And now, the SleepHawk Worldwide podcast. Here are your hosts, Brandon Staton and Tyler Hansbrough.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the SleepHawk Worldwide podcast. This is Sleep Dawg with the Big Hawk.
What's up, everybody? It's the Big Hawk. We got a great pod for you today. I know it's coming through you a day late, but a lot of action. Excited to be here with my guy, Sleep Dawg.
Damn right, man. Day late, dollar short. That's code we live by. Lot to get into here. Sleep Dawg's still shaking off this cough. So, guys, if I start just belting them out, just turn it down for a second. Carolina, up to 15 in the AP poll. Still cruising along. Still, I noticed before I got on here, Duke is a better betting favorite to win the national championship in football than UNC, which just shows how dumb those odds makers are. We'll get into the win over Pitt on the road. We will get into some NFL, just some wild storylines going on there. Monday Night Football is about to kick off right here. I don't understand why they're doing these two Monday night games. It's like, all right, I'm cool with it. At least if one sucks, I can turn on the other one. But it is weird. Colorado got the doors blown off. Looks like Travis Kelce really is dating Taylor Swift, which is weird. NBA opening night less than 1 month away. And Tez Walker is still not playing. And right before we came on, we found out some guy got a waiver after transferring a couple times in Minnesota. So maybe we'll jump into that too. All of that horse is about dead as it can get. But before we do, I'm going to shout some people out. They bought a T-shirt. We've got couple, let's see here. Mark Hirschhorn, Melissa Hamp E, maybe Hamp E, maybe Hump. Professor Pablo, Lauren Hansbrough, shout out. Cam King, James Turner, Chris Fortin, Connie Nelson, William Johnson, Scott Cook, and Julie Hewlin. And Brandon Staton, of course. Bought my own T-shirt. Lauren Hansbrough brought two.
It's my sister-in-law. Thank you.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, thanks, guys,
for
supporting the pod.
Appreciate you supporting the podcast. I figure, hey, if we start shouting people out, maybe we'll buy a T-shirt. They're online. I think it's store.sleephawkworldwide.com. It's also on our Instagram page. I mean, them damn things right up there with, nicest T-shirt you're ever going to buy.
Hey, it's a great quality T-shirt. Comes from our guy, Tap the Tees, Big Dan, good college buddy, good Tar Heel. But also, you guys buying these shirts, it gives us the ability to, have a bigger presence on social media and do some things that we want. We want to grow SHWW and become, what you guys want us to be. And we love doing this. So thank you for buying these shirts. It really does mean a lot.
We're on a mission. We're on a mission, man. The T-shirts are going to take us there. Sold 10 of them some bitches in about a month.
About 10,000 marks.
Oh, man. Anyway, UNC, man, 15th in the country. Who would have thought besides Sleep Dawg? Because I've been calling it. Looked good. I mean, looked a little shaky to start with. It didn't. I think Pitt scored first, and then we scored again, and then they scored again, and then we didn't give up much the rest of the way. Drake looked strong, 298 and a touchdown. Had 2 rushing touchdowns. Alijah Huzzie, return touchdown, 2 picks. I mean, the guy was obviously player of the game. Again, went on the road. That was kind of a trap game. I mean, Pitt was 1-2 going into it. We haven't faced a team yet with a winning record, but we've faced a couple 500 teams that would have winning records if they beat us. We're doing what we're supposed to do. We got this week off, and then we come back home against Syracuse, maybe. So, I don't know, man. Really putting it together. I just feel like a lot of turmoil in the college ranks that is really playing to our favor. Got teams like Alabama that ain't so hot. You got all the attention on Colorado, and they get smoked. You got a lot of teams just Clemson just lost again. So, I don't know, Big Hawk, man. It's kind of shaping up like we thought it might.
Well, Sleep, you're always pretty high on whether it's anything UNC. Sleep Dawg, let me just get this clear. He is all in. He gets really excited, and I was a little hesitant, but I knew we had Drake, and I knew we had a shot. I thought our defense was a concern, but it looks like we're we're doing well. We opened conference play with the win. Anytime you get a win in conference, these conference games are different. And I know it's just Pitt, and Pitt's not, having the year they want so far, but it is a conference win, and they know us well. And if you look at it historically, especially in the past couple of years, the football team in particular hasn't. We can put the basketball team in there too. Let's be honest, hasn't handled success well. And so what they did is they opened the season up. They beat a good SEC team who had a lot of momentum coming into this year. Then they beat a Big Ten team, okay? And now they're starting conference. They go up. Pittsburgh's not the most appealing team. Everybody's riding high. We got the job done. That was big for us. And this bye week is going to give us some time to get these guys healthy. Drake did look like he took some shots last game. Big Hulk, he had to get up early. I didn't watch a lot of the second half because I was waking up at 5 because I had pickleball practice. But I like what we did. Anytime we get a dub for the football team, especially in conference, is huge. On the road, it's a big win. There's going to start to be some momentum, especially we got to handle business in the next game after this bye. But I'm liking the direction we're heading. And I think as soon as we keep winning and keep doing our thing, we're going to get the recognition. Just let people keep hating because it seems like we play our best when there's a lot of haters out there. And so I like that. But also with these, we got a couple weeks before we play our next game. We need to get Tez Walker eligible. And Sleep, you brought this up. There's another kid, a 2-time transfer, eligible. We need to get NCAA, stop playing with us. I don't care what it is. You need to get the shit suit out of you. It's just ridiculous. We need to get Tez Walker eligible. NCAA, you guys should get this kid eligible. This is ridiculous.
Yeah, it's absurd. I mean, hopefully something happens between now and the next time they suit it up in a couple of weeks. But at this point, it's unfathomable. I mean, it's like I said a couple of weeks ago, it's astounding how many people are on our side. It's just, and everybody can point to this. I mean, every single one of these cases is different from the other in some way. But that's like saying, I don't know. It's like all these situations are the exact same essentially, and they're picking and choosing why Tez can't play and these other guys can, and it's mind boggling.
And we talked about this last time, Sleep, and this isn't like we're going to stay on this. And I know a lot of Tar Heels, the Tar Heel Nation feels the same way, but there's something going on at the NCAA that they have a vendetta against UNC or UNC football. There's something going on, and they need to have a little bit of transparency about why they are acting like this, specifically towards UNC football. I don't understand why it's taking so long. I have never understood the timeline in which the NCAA works. It works at a snail's pace. They don't have to. They could have been on top of this a long time ago. They declared this kid ineligible 2 weeks before the season. What kind of BS is that? And it's just not logical. Listen, they make good money. They have a good salary. Get your job done. Get your work done early. And the reason I say this is also basketball season's on the horizon. And there's a ton of 2-time transfers that are gearing up and getting ready and getting their hopes up for basketball season that haven't been declared eligible. And they have waivers in. They're just waiting. They're just sitting on these cases for no reason besides the fact that no one holds them accountable. And it's ridiculous. And there needs to be somebody that steps in. The NCAA actually should handle this in a better manner. They should say, okay, if they're going to complain, I've heard this argument that, well, some schools send in waivers real late. Well, to me, that is on the NCAA too. Have a hard deadline for when you can submit waivers. Also, that kind of cleans up the portal. If you don't like kids transferring this late, say, hey, listen, here's a hard deadline to get your waivers in, and we'll get back to you in a more timely fashion. And to me, that solves a lot of these problems because a lot of schools have these waivers in, and they're just waiting. And, it does have an effect. One, it has an effect on how teams are going to coach. They don't know who's going to be eligible, who's going to be able to play. And also, it affects these kids' lives who transfer to these schools. Someone might be playing at their dream school. Someone could have an issue at home and have family that wants to come watch them. They're moving closer because Their family has some health issues, and the NCAA is just taking their time for no reason.
Dude, the NCAA makes the DMV look like fucking NASA. I mean, I just don't understand the logic behind any of this. And we keep talking. It's like to the point where you talk about it so much that like, what else can you say? Like everybody knows it's frivolous, it's hypocritical, it's stupid, it's all these things. It makes no sense, and I don't understand why someone hasn't sued him yet. And whether it's on behalf of Tez, where it's the university, whether it's like some other entity, man, it just doesn't make any sense. They're not going to be accountable until someone holds them accountable, and that's clear. And maybe there's no path to do that. But when you got guys like Jay Billis and a lot of other smart people that suggest otherwise, like I'm just going to do what the smart people say. And I don't know, dude. I think Charlie Baker, president of the NCAA, ought to quit. I mean, they ought to never let this guy within 50 miles of a sporting event forever, which we all knew this was going to happen, man. It's just ridiculous. So
the guy's a politician, Sleep.
Yeah.
And
oh my God.
Politicians make a ton of money. I hate politics. I hate politicians in general, but you can't tell me this guy got out of politics to take a pay cut.
Oh, yeah.
He's making a ton of money. Make better decisions and make them in a better, timely fashion. And you resolve a lot of these issues. And you also resolve a lot of the criticism that the media and the fan bases have given you guys. And to me, you've lost a lot of credibility. Your reputation is in, there's never been a time where schools want to find a way to abolish NCAA, get rid of them. And Charlie Baker came in here. We all thought he was going to run the NCAA a lot better than what the previous administration did. And it's just kind of been a hangover. I mean, it's been a carryover to the same stuff we've seen year in, year out. And just everyone just like, what are you guys doing? It's just it's awfully disappointing, especially for people who had high expectations and the high hopes of Charlie Baker coming in, which I did as well.
Yeah, I mean, right now, I don't even think it's that I want Tez to play as a fan. It's just like such a bummer to watch this kid. Like, you don't get many opportunities. I mean, this is an opportunity that most people don't get, is what I'm trying to say. And on top of that, it's fleeting, man. You don't have long. I mean, you know it. I know it. We all know it. Like, it's gone before you know it. And I couldn't imagine. It's one thing when you have, you have the prospect of injury, which is now there's all kinds of stories like that prospect is entering the equation now because this kid hadn't been in live action, and he's gonna, if he does get cleared, right, there's that element to it. But like you've got all these prospects, it's like it takes a lot of things coming into place for him to get where he is, including not the probably most important is a lot of hard work. Yeah. And he's just had it taken from him, and it's like. It's criminal, dude. It
really is.
Feels that way. So, like I said, hopefully they get that back together. It's just this kid from Minnesota. Good on him.
Yeah. We're happy.
The other thing is, fuck the rules. Who cares anymore?
Yeah.
Like everybody's going here, there, everywhere, and you're trying to like rein this in. Just let them go play wherever they want.
Yep.
If there's a place, and because this is the other thing. If I go to school A. And if I come to Carolina and have a good season and I have the opportunity to go to Alabama, I should be able to go to Alabama. I mean, especially this day and age when, there's money on the line here. So, the hell, all right, let's say I went to community college. Let's say I showed out in community college, whatever, D2 school. Showed out. Carolina was like, man, gotta bring him in. Then I come to Carolina, I show myself there, and they're like, hey, I go to I should be able to move up the ranks wherever I want to go. So, rules, I get why they're there, but like you can't apply them to the players and not apply them to anybody else. And then when the players, follow them, you find a way to penalize them anyway.
And Sleep, the NCAA is supposed to be about the student athlete. And it seems like everything that they stand for, their actions go against everything that, they say they're there to help the player, the athlete, the person. Every action they do contradicts that. And, I mean, they need to figure this out. We also I want to have a little transparency. I want to see why from the NCAA, how they arrived at the decision, who arrived at this decision, what board voted on this, because to me, it seems like somebody within the NCAA is purposely picking on UNC for a reason, whether it's UNC or TES individually. I feel there's a vendetta against UNC or TES. I can't figure it out. Sleep. We need transparency.
There's somebody on that board with an axe to grind.
Somebody.
And they're lobbying like politicians do to get what they want. And they're getting it. Alijah Huzzie wanted the football, and he got it. Dude, he had a great game. So I know you said man, I'll be honest, I'm pretty sure I fell asleep before it was over because these 8 o'clock kicks, guys, I mean, might as well put it on 2 a.m. This game might as well be played in Japan at 8 o'clock, dude. So, I hung in there as long as I could. That kid was amazing. I saw the punt return. And that's the thing I think I took away from this was at first I was like, I ain't gonna lie, I'm sitting on my couch cussing Gene Chizik. I'm like, man, I thought we were better on defense, dude. And, we got it together. And I think that, they threw some different stuff at us offensively. Frank Signetti, I realized, was the offensive coordinator there. So he obviously has a history as a former head coach at UNC. Was he head coach? He was the OC under Fedora, I think. And maybe he was a damn head coach. I don't know. They're all running. We cycled through him there for a while.
Not at UNC. No.
Huh?
I don't. The head coach at UNC or?
I think he was the OC under Fedora. And anyway, the D got it together and was playing much better. And I think, our initial reaction as fans of UNC anything, really except basketball, is that if it's going well, we're just buying time until it's not going well anymore. So your just knee-jerk reaction is to panic anytime something happens and forget that there's an ebb and flow to the game and that you have Drake May, who, it's funny to me, man, with Drake, like all these other guys are putting up, big numbers and stuff. But Drake just seems to control the game, the whole game. I mean, you mentioned it. He took some shots and, he stands in, he hits his targets. He does what he's supposed to do. He's like cerebral. He knows when to pick up the pace. He knows when to check down. He knows when to do all these things. He had a couple. I think they were goal line scores. I mean, he just does it all, and it's kind of cool because I think he's probably, a lot of people tell you Caleb Williams is the best pro prospect, and maybe he is. I don't see a lot of Caleb Williams, but it'd be hard for me to pick if I got the pick in the draft. It'd be hard for me to pick anybody but Drake May. I mean, he is a quintessential quarterback prototype. So in the NFL. So he's big, he's got a strong arm, he's smart, he's accurate, he's poised, he's patient, he's all these, he makes the right decisions all the time, it seems like. And so absent of like 400-yard games with 4 touchdowns, my whole pick of him winning the Heisman, right? That's a vanity award in some ways. And, it'd be a different story if the Heels get rolling here and really start putting some teams away. But, that seems to be an afterthought at this point. But he sure is the guy to lead Carolina as far as they're going to go. He's fun to watch.
Yeah, and Sleep, one thing I like about him is he has a lot of size, which I'm all about these tall, big quarterbacks. And, this is just a personal preference on me. And I've never been a fan of the Kyler Murrays, even Bryce Young. I mean, this guy looks like somebody out of Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. He's just super small. When I watched him play last week for the first time, I could not believe how small he is.
Yeah.
And I don't know why in the hell any NFL team would take these small. Now, Tua's having a great year, but I'm not even a Tua fan. You guys can, go back a couple episodes. I look like an idiot how bad I'm talking about Tua. But
looks like that Taekwondo Kung Fu shit is working out.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, to me, Drake, yes, he's super smart, but he works hard. And at some point, stats are stats, but also you got to reward winning. I mean, this kid, UNC football has been not traditionally a powerhouse, but we are winning consistently now. And I understand that Mac Brown came back and changed the culture, and it seems like he's got a lot of big-time recruits. He did flip Drake from Alabama to UNC, and he has lived up to the hype. But also, I love the way he looks. His size, his athletic ability. He has good feet, and he's going to continue to get stronger. When I played in Indianapolis, I got to see Peyton a little bit. Used to see him around. He's a big dude. Drake's not as big as Peyton, but still, that same size has an effect on your longevity, and it gives you the ability to see the whole field. And Sleep, I'm sitting here talking like I know football. Listen, guys, I don't like. I'm straight up.
Using good buzzwords. Using some good catchphrases.
I don't know football.
I don't know if they're right either.
But I know what athletes look like, and I know what winners look like. Drake's doing that, and he looks like a quarterback. He looks like somebody can sling the football, and he's doing it every single game for UNC, and I love it. And I hope he is the number one pick because, I'm friends with his brother Luke too, so we can go watch some games.
Hell yeah, we keep trying to get him on the pod, but nobody will answer our emails. That's weird. That's not uncommon for us.
Let's tell him we're ESPN. Come on.
Oh man! Speaking of the NFL and speaking of Tua, dude, Miami. So I have Raheem Mostert on my fantasy team, which just won by $1 billion last week. This week. Dude, Miami smoked Denver, and I love every second of it because Big Hawk went in on Tua, but I'll just go in every chance I get on what's his face, Russell Wilson. I wonder what it's like in Denver right now. I wonder what those guys are really feel. I mean, Sean Payton, and you know who Sean Payton reminds me of? And I shouldn't even say this out loud because it's going to piss people off. But Sean Payton his career has gone like kind of in some ways, not nearly as bad. I'm already stepping it back because I know people are about to fucking lose their mind when I say
this. And this guy was suspended for a year, Sleep, for putting hits on players.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, you can go in on him.
I forgot about that. Wow. Okay, yeah. So it's like Rudy Giuliani. It's like Rudy Giuliani, right? Because remember when – so here it is. Because remember when 9/11 happened, like everybody loved Giuliani, right? Because they're blind to the fact that it's like this dude is the mayor of New York, America's mayor, right? And then from that point on, he's protecting all these drug criminals or whatever, and God knows what really happened and all this shit. Turns out he was just the guy in right place, right time. Wouldn't have mattered. And then Sean Payton is the coach and wins a Super Bowl in New Orleans after Katrina. And this guy can't do anything wrong. And, of course, he's got Drew Brees. Everybody loves Drew Brees and blah, blah, blah. And, as time goes on, you just watch these guys on the same continuum just sort of become unlikable. Now, I don't think Sean Payton is anywhere near as unlikable as Rudy Giuliani. And there's probably a class of people here that like Rudy Giuliani just fine. And you know what? Y'all listen to podcasts too. So you always got a seat at the SleepHawk Worldwide table, okay? Especially if you buy a fucking t-shirt. But, yeah, I mean, Sean Payton is just a bad look, man. It's like he comes in there just blaming everybody. It's like, bro, y'all gave up 70. You suck. And the best part is all the memes about him having to play Chicago next week and how that's just the worst game ever. Cam and Bob are gonna be the only ones in the stadium.
Man, Sleep
drinking Malort.
Oh my God, guys, do not listen. I might rather drink Malort than watch that game. Malort is the worst drink ever. We talked about how bad that drink is. Sleep. Sean Payton looked really frustrated in the press conference after the game. I watched it because it was comical. And sometimes these reporters, they don't ask their questions in a great manner. And
that's because they're sick of watching that shit too. Imagine if you went to had to go to work and watch that shit and write a story about it.
Oh yeah.
It's like, what could I say that wasn't just already said right before our eyes?
And the reporter asked a question, but he didn't ask a question. He just stated that historically this is like a this is a historic loss. No team's ever really almost this is, they just scored 70 points on you. And he's like, what's the question? And, what I took from that press conference after the game when I watched Sean Payton, I have a lot of respect for Payton, what he did in New Orleans. I did like the New Orleans team. I'm a big Drew Brees fan too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, how could you not be? But
it was awesome. I mean, don't let me take that away. It was really cool. I don't care if you like the Saints or not. It was cool what happened there for a while.
Yeah. And but I can tell you this. I think he's realizing what he walked into in Denver. And I think Denver's a great city, historically great football program, did a lot of good things, but I thought he could turn it around. But I think the contract they gave Russell is just one of the worst deals almost in – I can't remember a deal being this bad. Russell hasn't played up to himself, but I will tell you this, fantasy-wise, he's putting up decent numbers. But this one is just on the organization. I mean, this one's on everybody as a whole. They got 70 points on you. And also, their backup quarterback came in. Mike White was doing work sleep. He looked like Tom Brady in his prime back there. That was a bad look as well. It wasn't just Tua. I mean, hell, they might have got the backup quarterback a contract next year for a starting job.
In Denver.
Yeah.
Oh, man, I love watching teams I don't like get the shit kicked out of them. But because usually what happens is the team I do like gets the shit kicked out of it, which is exactly what happened to Washington. Buffalo looked a little dicey, and they got just the medicine they needed, which was a game against Washington. And they just absolutely clobbered the Commanders. Nothing really to say there except, hell, I don't think our boy Sam had more than like 10 yards passing.
He had a negative. In fact, I have him as my story.
Yeah, that was tough.
There's better days ahead for Sam.
He'll come back, man. He ain't worried about that shit.
Stay safe.
And then Chicago, they suck, man. It's amazing to me. You know, you guys hear me. Nobody gives a shit about these sports cards, but you know, in the card world, like prospecting quarterbacks is a dangerous game. And before the season, man, everybody is buying heavy on Justin Fields, right? Because everybody likes that athletic guy, you know. Everybody's trying to find the next Patrick Mahomes. Period. Yeah. And dude, that meme I saw of the dudes from Moneyball. He said,
dude, that was so hilarious.
This guy's an absolute specimen. He's a fast quarterback. His absolute weapon at quarterback position. His only problem is that the forward pass was invented in 1904. I mean, that dude couldn't throw the ball across a chain link fence from his backyard, man. I don't know what's going on down there. They got no weapons. They got nobody that would even be entertaining to watch.
First of all, he's not that big either.
Nah, I don't think so.
And I think what's happened is he's lost a lot of his confidence. And I can tell you as an athlete, when the media starts picking on you and you start getting blamed for things, I could tell last week when he came out and blamed his coaches, first of all, that's never a good look. I don't care if you have to walk that back or not. Creating tension between you and the coaching staff. He's too young and unproven to really do that. Just to be honest, it's another thing if Tom Brady came out there and was critical of the coaches because, listen, the coaches are probably going to go. But when Justin Fields does it, it's a different dynamic because he's so young. Also, the expectations that were so high for the Chicago Bears before the season, people felt like the Bears could really break through and have like a playoff type year, but they have been absolute ass. And
they're in the Drake May. They're in the running for Drake May. Yeah, you're exactly right. And to Fields' credit, you know, I think he kind of misspoke. I don't necessarily even think that he meant to say that because he did kind of walk it back, and the team came in. Who knows if the team is just covering it, but it seemed like he was just. You know, he kind of talked. Sometimes I feel like people forget that too. That when you are an athlete and you're caught in an emotional situation after a game or a loss or whatever, like you talk your way into something that, like, hey man, I didn't mean to talk shit to anybody. I just was grasping for a way to explain what the hell's going on. And I feel like that might have had a little bit to do with how that came out, and then of course, regardless of that or not, I mean, it came back got just torched the next day. So
they got a new they have a new GM who didn't draft Justin Fields, and so he came out and he tried to kind of fix everything and bridge that gap, and then Justin Fields came out, but there's tension in Chicago, and I don't think Justin Fields. I don't think he's going to last the whole season. I think something's going to happen.
There's a few of those guys, man. I don't know who their backup is down there, but there's a lot of storylines in the NFL, and they got that extra game, which might as well be an extra 10 games there's a lot waiting to be told in the NFL season. And I mean, it's also kind of crazy because all these teams are just panicking, like, I mean, Dallas, which is the next on our list, they lost to Arizona. Arizona's supposed to be tanking. Dallas is a double-digit favorite and lost by double digits to Arizona. I mean, that was abysmal. And Dallas is trying to give Dak Prescott an extension to pay him $50 million a year.
Don't do that.
So, like, he also doesn't – he's never been a guy that I felt like – I mean, I hate the Cowboys, so I hope they sign him for 100 years. But he's never been the guy that I'm thinking to myself, like, yeah, I want to go down with him. But that defense got exposed. Arizona, like, legitimately looked good.
Which is shocking because I think Arizona has a young quarterback, Dobbs. Kyler Murray, I don't know when he's coming back. But the thing about the Cowboys is that I think his name's Travion Diggs. They're one of their best defensive players towards ACL in practice, which, God, that's got to be demoralizing when you have somebody that, is a huge factor on your team, a primetime player, and tears his ACL in practice. That would lead me to be like, hey, what in the hell are we doing in practice? But, sometimes, in sport, there's all these unfortunate injuries. But that one's going to hurt Dallas. But the thing about Dallas to me is I thought Tony Romo was a good quarterback, but I don't think he's like a championship winning quarterback.
Right.
I think he's like good enough to get you in the playoffs, maybe win a game or two. And that's the same thing with Dak. Is like I think Dak is good enough to get some hype, have some good like weeks, some good games where he puts up absurd numbers, and they surround him with a really good defense, a lot of weapons, and he does well, but I don't think he's good enough to be a contender. Like I don't think he's a quarterback that's going to lead a team to a championship. But the one guy, Sleep, who is interesting because I know that the Wilson kid for the Jets is taking a lot of heat. Yeah. And Greeny from Get Up is just destroying them.
The Jets.
And he's a huge Jets fan. And he's been like advocating for Kirk Cousins to go to the Jets. And
dude, I was getting ready to say with the whole Dak conversation, like I literally listed out 15 numbers because I think we could find 15 quarterbacks we agree we'd rather have than Dak Prescott. But yeah, Kirk Cousins was the first guy that came to mind. And like he might not win you a Super Bowl, but you at least feel like you might.
And that's the thing is like, to me, Kirk Cousins is a guy who his public perception is like, he's good, but he's not the most sexiest pick to have as your QB. Like he's he's not Aaron Rodgers, he's not Tom Brady, he's not Peyton Manning. Like you don't get excited like you do with those guys. But I think he's like a tier under. Like I think he's a solid top 10 quarterback almost every year, but he doesn't really get the credit he deserves, even from his peers a little bit too. But I think he does enough. I think he wins games and he kind of flies under the radar. I think he would be better suited for the Jets, or the Jets right now could definitely use him. Sleep, me and you could play for the Jets right now, and the Cowboys. I think he'd be better fit for those teams than actually their current quarterback.
Yeah, I agree. And I mean, hell, dude, he puts up numbers too. It's wild how much, especially having Diggs helps. And he's had Thielen there for a long time. He's always had weapons, and they always commit to throw. And he's always had a good running back. Yeah. So kind of open things up for him. But yeah, he's a gamer, man. Like I think there's quite a few people. They got there's some interesting guys like hovering around. And look, to New York's credit with Zach Wilson. I felt like I watched Hard Knocks, and I feel like their coach is just kind of gimmicky, like based on that. Like, I don't know. When I watch that stuff, I feel like that's like a knock, and I actually kind of like the guy. But I watch some of these guys do their little hype speech or whatever, and a lot of these guys, and this is going to be a great segue into Dion. A lot of these guys give their hype speech, and I'm sitting on my couch thinking, like, this dude couldn't motivate me to get up and get off the couch and go get ice cream. And that don't even take much. Like it just didn't do it for me. The whole thing about the Raven flying around, and then you got the dude from Arizona talking about, did you guys ride the bus here? I'd be like, dude, what?
Dude, that dude
I'm in the NFL,
weird.
bro.
That was a weird speech and altogether. Like, I don't know what my reaction would be. He was like, shot, you're exploding.
Yeah. And like the dude from Miami, McDonald or whatever, like you could say the same about him, but I think I relate more with his like quirks and his personality. So I could at least like either make me laugh or make me want to run through a chainsaw, you know? And so some of these guys, they get up, and it was the same thing with the post-game speech, the dude from Ohio State just throwing scuds at Lou Holtz. And you know, the dude from Oregon before the 49ers, before the Colorado game, you know, like I'm like, dude, I'm not getting hyped up for this. Yeah. And the truth is like even a guy like Mac Brown, but at least Mac is like, you know, Mac I like. So I'm like, dude, I'll do whatever he tells me to do. But it's not like Mac Brown is going to walk in the locker room and say something to get me just charged up, you know? Mm-hmm. Was Coach Williams that way? Like, I mean, what was that dynamic? I'm curious. Like, because, dude, I think everybody's maybe that's played sports has had a coach at some point or another. I mean, because that's what Dion does extremely well. Like, I'm sitting on the couch and I'm like, not only will I go get the ice cream, but hell, I might go hang a tire on an oak tree. I might put forth the effort to get a rope and a tire and hang it on the oak tree in my backyard and start taking 5-step drops and just trying to throw footballs through it at 40.
Well, I'm going to talk about prime time, and then I'll touch on Coach Williams. But the one thing to me about prime time, which I love, is and somebody told me this today, is actually my dad. He sees a walking contradiction because in some areas he's so flashy. He drives a Lamborghini. He, wears these gold chains. He has the sunglasses on. And then other areas he's so disciplined. We're going to show up on time to class early. We're going to sit front row and all these things. And I love that about him. And he wears a cowboy hat. I love the cowboy hat. I just
yeah, dude. I
don't have the self-confidence to wear it yet, but I'm building it up. Yeah. I love his style. Sometimes I'm old school sleep. Sometimes that flashy stuff I'm not really big on. And that's kind of a me thing. But the one thing I'll say about Coach Williams is Coach Williams motivated me. Man, he was an extreme motivator. Mm-hmm. And before games, he would give great speeches. And there's a lot of speeches that, he's very good at the situation to be able to say the right things and making big moments very simple and having, this is what we're going to do and this is how we're going to do it and preparing for it. He prepared better than anybody I've ever been around in my life. And I've said that, and it's really helped me not only, in basketball, but in other areas is like, hey, we're not just going to, walk out there and win. We're going to prepare to win throughout the whole season. I think he's really good at that. And that really motivated me because I knew when we walked out on the court, Coach Williams gave everything he had, I think, to every practice. And I was the same way. Playing wise, so that had a huge effect, and I felt like we got better throughout the whole year because of that. But before games, Coach Williams used to say to us, "Somebody's got to win." He wouldn't say. Sometimes he would say, "Damn." Sometimes he would say, "Somebody's got to win the darn game." Why not? And it doesn't sound too motivating when I say it, but he's like, "Somebody's got to win. Why not us?" Yeah. And why not? Like that always really got me fired up because it's right. And somebody's got to go out there. Why don't we go out there and just win it? And I always loved it when he said that. He used that a lot. He went through a phase where he used to talk about, I think it was my sophomore year, how good of a putter he was. And so we'd be in the middle of like a game or something, and he'd be talking like all of a sudden he'd start talking about, I can putt my buns off. And he didn't want to cuss. He'd say buns. And I would always have to look away because it was so funny to me watching him talk about I can put my buns off. And I knew like not a lot of guys here play golf. We don't even like some people in there. We don't even what's putt. And, but that used to crack me up. But he also was an extreme motivator through fear. And Coach Williams had really hard practices. And there was only one loss in UNC where we walked in at the locker room and Coach was actually like, guys, they're a better team than us, and we played really hard. I appreciate you guys playing like that. There was only one game, and that was my freshman year against Illinois, and Illinois went to the national championship the year before, and we had lost a lot of guys. We were a young team, a young freshman, and we played Illinois really close. They had D. Brown. They had this other big Augustine, who was a very good player.
DJ Augustine?
No, that's a point guard for Texas. James Augustine, right. I think, is his name. I may be getting his name wrong, but he's a big, tall, goofy, lanky-looking white guy. And we went toe-to-toe with each other, but we played that game with our hearts out, and the crowd was into it. Coach Williams came to us after the game, was really proud of us. And we were all really – it was actually, I think, one of our first losses of the season. And as freshmen, we were just like – we were such on a mission that year because no one really expected much from that team. And we had a chip on our shoulder because no one was giving us credit. It was a chance to beat a team that was in the national championship last year. And I remember Coach coming to the locker room saying how proud he was of us and how not to be discouraged and let's keep working and see what happens. I get goosebumps talking about it now. But, yeah, I remember that. And I remember I was real close with Joe Holiday, and he pulled me aside and talked to me about it, that loss. Those two guys used to motivate me a lot, Joe Holiday and Coach Williams. So,
yeah, it's fascinating how coaches can motivate without being like, rabble rousers, right? Like some guys, they're going to get you motivated because they're going to convince you to go to war. And there's a cool element to that. Like, I think Deion has a blend of that. And I think he's relatable to his players. And there's all this noise. I think you're exactly right that the flashy stuff is like, it's not relatable to the average person because we haven't had, all this, fame and fortune and all this sort of stuff. And even if we did, I think most of us are so monotonous that, I don't know if we necessarily, live our lives the same way. And there's nothing wrong with that. But there's an element that you can appreciate. And I absolutely love the way that he handles the criticism when he basically, other guys are chirping. And I think that's where he's really different because some guys get like, they get pulled into that and they start talking shit back. And he's just like, yeah, man, they kicked our ass. So he's, what am I going to say? But I'm not talking. He's like, I'm not going to put anybody else down. And, he seems to have a really high moral compass. And it'll be interesting to see, I said on the last pod, it'll be interesting to see how they handle adversity. He answered that question for me in a very big way. It'll be really interesting to me to see now how the team handles it because they got USC next, I think. I mean, they're going to and you want to talk about their defense without that Hunter kid. And, I mean, they could have had 3 or 4 of them, and I don't think they would have stopped Oregon. They ain't going to slow down for them. So, the team's got to bounce back a little bit and maybe learn some lessons like in humility, and there's nothing wrong with that. But, I still think that the reality is what he's doing is, I think, really good for college football. And God bless anybody trying to recruit against that guy next year. I mean, he's gonna get everybody in the country, but they definitely got the damn doors beat off of them down there in Oregon. So, we'll see.
I do like you mentioned a great point about how he handled adversity. And, I watch him in the presser. I like watching coaches' press conference after games.
Mm-hmm.
He did make – and the one thing I didn't like about how Oregon, the whole week leading up to it and how their head coach, Dan Laney, whatever his name is,
mm-hmm.
he made it too much about him versus Deion.
Yeah.
And it was almost like, hey, we beat Deion. It wasn't about like their football program getting a big win, and these kids played
mm-hmm.
really well. When he came and he did his interviews, like, I hope all those people that were watching last week, Colorado, I hope they watch this week. And, he also said something about they're playing for clicks, we're playing for wins. I didn't like that.
He got drugged for that too. It's like, dude, you knew the cameras are on you.
Yeah. And Sleep, that's my point. Is it's not about you versus Deion. And Deion's in the press conference after he said, "This isn't about me and the other coach." He's like, and he said it in a humble, non-humble way. He's like, I've got a golden jacket. Like, I'm a Hall of Famer.
Mm-hmm.
If this was about me versus him, it's no contest. It's about these kids. And I love when he brings it back to those kids. He does bring up the kids a lot. And when I do, and I know he's big into social media and he really seizes the moment, but he's really good with his words. And he has a way of saying things to the kids, and it's always, to me, kind of the right things to be saying.
Yeah.
Like, hey, be on time. We're going to work. This is what we're going to do. And I love that message versus what the other coach was saying, talking about, oh, yeah, we beat them. And I didn't like how the whole Oregon mascot came out with the clock and it said prime on it, like prime time. And then he took a sledgehammer and beat it.
That shit was funny.
It was hilarious. But, I mean.
And then his helmet fell off. And
yeah.
And he had to run away. I mean, like, some of it's funny, and I'm with you. I think look, and I just said it, like Deion doesn't really seem to get pulled into that, but the other coaches get pulled into him.
Yeah.
And they spout off and make it. And then look what happens, right? Like, even when, if that coach from Oregon had just gone out and saying, hey, that's a good team over there, or, hey, kick their ass or whatever, and then they did it, and then he had graceful things to say, I think the narrative would be a lot different, but it's a masterclass in good PR. And it's almost as if, a loss. I don't know, man. I just think he's putting on a clinic on how to coach college football.
He's also had multiple coaches criticize him and how he handles things, and he's handled that criticism and been respectful to them after the game. Because I've been like, I wonder what Deion's going to say to their, the Colorado State coach. He was humble. He was like, hey, he's doing a good thing. I'm happy for his program. Looks like they have a lot of buzz. He's never been like, I don't like you. Let's go at it. He's been
because I think you
classy.
associate. I think most people associate and assume that because he's flashy, he's. I don't even want to go this little riddle, but because he's flashy, he's going to be like trashy, right? I'm not even trying to rhyme that. It's just I feel like people are going to feel like because he's this, he's classless. And it's the exact opposite, man. He's just very much himself, and I think that's what's so cool, and really what's kind of like always been cool about him. But we're gonna find out come next week too.
Sleep.
They got to get right back on the horse.
Question: do you think Deion in 5 years is coaching at Colorado, or do you think he's moved on?
Dude, that's a great question, and it's a hard question because, man, that's the same thing with Jack. I mean, they're already chattering about NFL. I don't think it's the NFL you got to worry about. I think it's him going somewhere like blue chip football program, like LSU or something. I don't know where. Maybe Florida State, Michigan. I don't know. Follow Mac.
It would be interesting to see.
You know what I'd like to see him do?
Took an NFL job, and his son went there.
I'd love to see him go back to an HBCU and win like a national championship there. I don't know what the resource requirement is realistically for you to recruit to an institution like that. Cause the fact of the matter is, HBCU is competing at a money level that your Alabamas and Texas. And they just got hundreds. Money is not an issue. Money is very much an issue when you're trying to put together a winning program, because if you go into the locker room at some of these places and you're like, dude, bro, Deion, you're cool and all, but holy shit, man, people are buying me cars and stuff, but I don't know. I'm just romanticizing about that. It would be cool. I don't think he stays there forever, but dude, he got a lot of money and it's tied to a lot of stuff, and he's printing money right now for Colorado.
Oh yeah.
So remember, dude, they hired him and didn't even have the money. They're like, I don't know where it's going to come from.
Yep.
And so I honestly feel like it's look, man, loyalty is a concept that I don't think a lot of people sort of have a realistic thought process on. Everybody feels like that because you're in one place, like you got to be loyal to that absent any other outside factors. And I just don't agree with that. I think in reality, you should always be loyal to, people and places and stuff that helped you get to a place. But I don't think you should be more loyal to anyone outside yourself, because that can be a trap, Yeah. And so if he takes Colorado and turns them into a powerhouse and then, gets an opportunity or he gets an opportunity next year to go coach somewhere else, I mean, I'd love to see him stay for my own, sake as a fan. I think a lot of people would, to see what he can do. God knows if he leaves, you're going to have a lot of two-time transfers that could present a problem. But that's a good question, man. I could see him running the course with a couple recruiting classes and then taking a bigger job in college. I don't see him going to the NFL.
Oh, man, I would love to see him in the NFL. There's going to be so many coaching openings.
It's like when the big one, like if Dallas comes open, they're gonna call Dion. Atlanta or something like 49ers, Washington.
49ers ain't gonna come open.
Yeah, 49ers ain't coming open. I'm just thinking of places where like legitimately it would have to for him to be, he ain't going to coach Arizona. He ain't going to coach Seattle or Denver. Well, maybe he will coach Denver. He's right there. I don't know, dude. That's a good question. And I think people are already starting to ask because, I mean, there's a business side to this. And, I mean, Dion seems to like money.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, who doesn't? But I will say this. I do like the fact that he's really into foot. Like, he did not just walk into being the head coach of Colorado. I mean, he coached at a small HBCU and really established himself, because I don't think it's possible for him to have credibility if he were just to go and be Colorado's head coach. I like the fact that he went to a small school, built it up, built that program, and then took Colorado's job. And what he's doing there has been unbelievable, even though he's probably going to lose against USC. Odds are against him. But I like the vibe and what he's done and how he's changed things, and how he didn't just walk into it because he is prime time. He actually made a name for himself coaching, and he has earned that head coaching job. So it's going to be interesting to see, to me, how this whole thing evolves and how it plays out. I'm into it.
Well, I thought it was fascinating too, because there's a lot of big jobs open. All that last year, the Auburn job was open.
Yeah,
and I bet Auburn wishes they had damn Deion Sanders as their head coach. I don't.
So was Florida
know.
State. Florida State
That's
was
right.
open, and that's his. I mean, he doesn't claim him now, but he came down. Yeah. He was one of the final candidates, and I don't know. I'd be curious to really know inside if people were taking him seriously. And I say that in a respectful manner, but because not everyone is down for that style. He brings a lot of attention, and it can be a little intimidating. But respect Colorado for taking a chance, because it's paid off.
Dude. I mean, I'm gonna watch them every time. I don't care if they can go out there and get beat by 70 all they want. I'm still gonna watch, just to see what he's gonna say next. Anyway, that's really about it, man. What do you think? 30 seconds or less. Taylor Swift, Travis Kelce, over under 6 months.
Under.
I'm with you. He looked so awkward on the way out of there. He looked like a guy. That knew he was in too deep. Yeah. That knew like something's going to happen and he's going to have like he's going to be on TMZ more than he wants to be. Like when he was walking out of there with his hand all down and kind of side-eyeing the camera, he's like, dude, this is going to turn into something I didn't bargain for.
I don't know.
Dude brought his mom in the equation out of the gate. I mean,
man, I don't know.
Damn, that's a fast.
There's multiple factors at play. I mean, it's Taylor Swift. I mean, all right. So Taylor's attractive to me. She's not like drop dead, but it's Taylor Swift, and that's what makes her so attractive. And
a whole lot of money.
I don't know, man. Sleep. We'll see.
Over under 6 months. We'd love to hear from SleepHawk Nation. Let us know. Under 6 months is NBA season starts 10/24. Kuminga season. It's coming. All right. So as we progress through the pods here, it's going to get more and more Kuminga like. But yeah, I'm pumped about that. Got the heels coming up. Buy the t-shirts. Buy some crab cakes. Man, told you to buy any Jimmy's famous seafood crab cakes here in a while, but now's the time. Just start getting ready. Just try them out. Little taste just in time for the holidays.
You will not regret it, guys. I need to get some more crab cakes.
I get some crab cakes. You guys got anything else, Big Hawk?
Stay safe.
Stay safe.